Hey, what's up? This is Udolena from Udolena Digital. Welcome to my channel and be sure to subscribe if you're new here. Today I'm going to talk about a slightly different topic, which is something that I've been thinking, kind of discussing with myself over the last week, and something that is very important to me as an observation. Please take this video seriously. This is something that I've been thinking about and reading on the topic, and here I'm sharing my thoughts with you. So today I want to talk about what is the victim mindset and its different incarnations, let's say the different ways that you become a victim knowingly or unknowingly. And many of the definitions that we have as a victim are actually outdated, whereas there's a lot of different stages of victimhood mindset, and they have one thing in common. They all involve giving your power away, one way or another, and I'm going to talk about this now. So, who is the typical victim mindset? So you can hear this about people who are blaming others, of course, like I'm like this because of my parents, because of my upbringing, my partner, my boss, my colleagues, in my job. Everything can be used as a source of relief for their circumstances. Basically, it's never their fault, it's always someone else's fault, and they give their power by default. So this is a very clear victimhood mindset. You can very easily recognize this. Stoics, I often talk about Stoicism in my videos. You can check some of my other videos here on the channel. Stoics often talk about there is bucketing things into things that you can control, you can partly control, and you cannot control it all. So not to worry about the things that you can control, but focus on the things that you can control and partly can control. So the first two buckets. So this is one way of finding power, of course. However, I will show you that there's even more to it. You see, sometimes people also blame circumstances. It's not only other people, but also circumstances. And this might be absolutely valid. If you were born in a very poor family or you had abusive parent, this is something that was completely outside of your control, and by a lot of definitions you could be a victim by classical definition. However, here is something very, very important. There is one thing in the situation that you can control, and this is your mindset. This is understanding that you have a tremendous source of power within yourself, within your mindset, and it is your choice. And you can never lose this choice, whether to accept you as a victim or not accept this definition for yourself. Accepting this definition means automatically you're giving your power away to these circumstances, to these things that you could not control, and bringing yourself in a victim mindset. Another writer which talks about this is called Viktor Frankl. He was a Jewish Austrian writer from Jewish origin, a psychologist. He survived Auschwitz, one of the worst concentrations in Germany during the Second World War. And there he wrote, after that he wrote a book called A Man in Search of Meaning, one of the best books in the world that you can read about. And here he talks about something very, very interesting. So by all definitions, he in the Konzlager was a victim. So he was put into circumstances which were completely beyond of his control. He was mistreated, he was facing death and horrible things around him every single day. His freedom was taken away, freedom of his own body, of his own space, everything you can imagine he lost. However, in these times, he found something very interesting. He found the power of your inner self, that even if you are in the worst circumstances and you are a victim, by all definitions, you can refuse the victim mindset, you can choose your own version, your own reality, and you can overcome this situation with a greater ease by just changing your mindset, just believing that you are not a victim, that there is some things that you can control, and this is your state of mind. This is your mental fortress. Stoicism also talks about this mental fortress, which is actually within your control, and this is something you have to understand also with meditation, with other techniques. There is this clear sky. In meditation techniques, they often talk about the clear sky. The sky is always clear. We see clouds, we see sometimes a very foggy day, but when you go on a plane, you go above the clouds, you see the sky has always been clear. And this is also our mind. Everything that happens to us, no matter how terrible it is, the storms, the clouds, all the things that can happen are just a layer. And above it, we have a higher state of consciousness where we can take inner power and we can actually choose to live in the blue sky. Even all our reality, all the things are trying to convince us that we are a victim of circumstances and try to get us to give our power away. Now actually it's very modern. You see these workshops and movies and cinema artworks about the oppression of minorities, of women, of people from certain backgrounds, certain origin, ethnicity, race, etc. I've been myself to several such workshops for women, and I can tell you that they all start the same way. They start by talking about how you are a victim. Even if you didn't believe that you were a victim before the workshop, you will believe after that. They start with the statistics, about how deprived are you, what are your chances of becoming something in your life, that you have, I don't know how many % of chance failing, that you are deprived because of this and this and this and this, and then they give you the tools on how not to be deprived and not to be apparently a victim. However, I have one argument here. These courses focus so much on the victim mindset that after the course I always feel myself more as a victim. I start to feel more oppressed and worse than I felt before, because they make me realize about the difficulties, about the hardships, and they kind of force people into this victimhood mindset. You see also cinema now, often, especially movies about survival, about the victim punishing back, like the Hunger Games, like the Pursuit of Happiness, like many others, like Rambo, where the survival game is going on, where people are put in face of terrible circumstances and they survive against all odds. And of course we love these kind of movies. Why? Because they bring in the survival instincts. And actually, a victim fighting against the circumstances is still a victim. So even if you appear as this revenging nemesis, which is actually fighting against the circumstances, you are still in the victim mindset. You are still in the cage of you being deprived, of you being mistreated. You are not taking your power from this inner blue sky, from this inner extreme power that Viktor Frankl discovered in the Konzlager. You're taking your power from aggressiveness, from the animal instincts. And this brings your consciousness to the lowest level, which is the survival one. This is the level where you can only think of the day of today, not tomorrow. You don't see the big picture. This is the time where you're ready to do anything. You're ready to do things that are worse than your actually victimizers did to you. This is turning you into the animal instinct. And that's why actually these movies are so exciting and so interesting, because we all kind of get excited by this primal animal instinct. However, actually the real power, it's not so interesting probably to be shown on screen, is lying within you. This is the power that Viktor Frankl is talking about. This is the power when you think about Jesus saying that once they hit you on one side, you should turn the other cheek. This is the power of actually not accepting to be a victim. And this is a very tremendous source which we all have access to. And even when we get into the mode of revenge, we are still giving our power away. We are bringing ourselves to the lowest level. There's another book which is called Power versus Force. Very, very interesting book. Very much about spirituality, about vibrations, if you're in these kind of things. But I'm starting to be more and more. The more I read, the more I discover. And there they talk about different levels of vibration. So the lowest vibration is the survival one. And you know which is the highest vibration of the human mindset? This is the forgiveness. The forgiveness. This is the level where you forgive, which means basically that you do not accept to be a victim. You have forgiven. You are dissolving everything that's been done to you, or you thought that has been done to you. It disappears. And this is actually the level where the human consciousness is at its highest. And this is the tremendous, tremendous source of power. So yeah, this is what I wanted to talk about today. I will add a few links in the description. Check also my other videos on Stoicism. Maybe I'll do another separate video on Viktor Frankl and on Power versus Force. Very, very interesting books. Very complex, difficult to explain in 10 minutes, but I'll try my best. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week with another video.